Good. All right then. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today, we're going to be covering everything that you need to know about domestic reverse charge VAT for the construction industry, which comes into effect on the 1st of October. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at how you can manage the process within our 4PS construct system. So as some of you may know, my name is Adam, and I'm part of the 4PS account management team. I'm joined here this morning by Pauline Forder, who some of you might know from our support and training teams. I'll hand you over to Pauline in just a second to take you through the bulk of today's session. But first, I just wanted to recap a few things for those who haven't been on our webinars before. So as normal, if you've got any questions, I'm expecting quite a few today, we ask that you forward them on to me once the webinar is over. Just doing it this way, we can make sure that we save a bit of time and that we don't overrun. So we're more than happy to help you out. So I'll pop my details up on the screen at the end of today's session. So please do feel free to give me a call or drop me an email. As usual, we're also recording today's webinar and we'll make it available to rewatch and share around the business on our website very soon. All in all, we're looking for this morning's session to last around 30 minutes. So if you're ready, Pauline, I'll hand over to you and we'll get going.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Adam. Well, welcome everybody. So as Adam says, today we're going to be going through the whys and wherefores of domestic reverse charge VAT and how the 4PS construct software can be configured to operate that scheme. So first of all, we'll have a look at the whys and wherefores. So the general overview is HMRC, as we know, are changing the way that they collect VAT in the building and construction industry. As Adam said, it's coming into effect on October the 1st this year, giving us a lot of time to get organised, but nonetheless. And it means that the customer who receives the construction service will have to pay HMRC direct rather than paying the supplier. But this will only affect those that are registered for VAT and if you supply or receive services under the CIS scheme. So what, as contractors and subcontractors, do you have to do? If you are a contractor, you will need to check all the contracts that you have with subcontractors and determine whether DRC applies to those contracts or not, and let the supplier know if it does. If you're a subcontractor, you will need to check with your customers to see if DRC will apply. This will also include confirming as to whether they are an end user or an intermediate supplier. So under what circumstances will DRC not apply? Well, this is under those termed as end users or intermediary supplier businesses. So what do we mean by that? Our end users for reverse charge purposes are consumers and final customers, whom they are known as the end users. They are classified as businesses or groups of businesses that do not make onward supplies of the building or construction services, and if they are registered for both VAT and CIS, they need to ensure their suppliers do not apply DRC on the services supplied to them. Intermediate suppliers are VAT and CIS registered businesses, but that they are connected or linked to end users. This concept means that if there are a number of connected businesses collaborating together to purchase construction services, they are all treated as if they are end users and reverse charge will not apply. An example might be a property owning group of companies who might buy construction services through one member of the group and then recharge the other group companies, their tenants, or both. All the members of that property owning group, therefore, and their tenants would be end users, and therefore reverse charge should not apply. So what setup is required as far as 4PS construct? Well, we have to create a new business posting group for subcontractors that are DRC, and that applies only though to those that are CIS registered, so not those outside the CIS scheme, and if they are VAT registered. So only if they are if they are outside of the scheme would they be changing to the new VAT posting group. VAT product posting group, which is set up to define that DRC applies. Another VAT product posting group, a new VAT product posting group to define that DRC does not apply. So one to say that it does, one to say that it doesn't. And of course, we need to add all those combinations to the VAT posting setup. As well, of course, though, if we're doing that, then we will also have to amend our VAT statement as well. So what actually needs to be updated once we've created all these new posting groups? What records need to be updated within 4PS Construct? Well, the subcontractor card, under the rules that they are CIS registered and VAT registered, will need to be changed to that new DRC VAT business posting group. The project client, if DRC applies to the contract, then the new VAT product posting group must be entered on the project client. The project setup, where a project is not subject to DRC, then we need to, on the project itself, say that it is the non-DRC new code. Service contracts, for those that are operating in the service environment, if DRC applies, then the VAT product posting group must be changed again to that DRC code. And service orders, if DRC applies, then again, they must be changed to the new code. But there's an awful lot there that has to happen, and we understand that there can be now a large number of records that will be needed to be updated. And of course, that's going to be a major task for our customers to undertake. And of course, it all has to take place in effect overnight so that all open records are updated, ready for the 1st of October deadline. So 4PS Construct will be providing an update report which will update all those subcontractors' cards to the new DRC VAT business posting group, unless, as I've said, they're outside of the scheme or that they're not VAT registered. For those subcontractors, then their open subcontractor orders will also have to be updated accordingly. And also the update report will update the project client and the project and the contracts to that new VAT product posting group, and it will update the service contracts and service orders again to the new VAT product posting group. So that will obviously be able to be a great help to our customers. For earlier versions of NAV, then please contact Adam or support, and we will give you the information available on those versions. So let's go and see how and what we need to actually do within 4PS Construct to allow us to report correctly. So the first thing we need to do is we specify that we said we need to set up a new business posting group. So this is just normal, as you would do for any time that when you are having to create a new group, you would just click on the new button and type in the details. For saving time, as they say, I have created a new one, true Blue Peter fashion. In this case, we've called it sub for the subcontracting, and it is for DRC subcontractors. So that's the code that we're going to add to our subcontractor card. We also need to put in those two new DRC VAT product posting groups. So in this case, to make it easy to see them, we've actually called them DRC for standard 20% VAT, And for those that actually do operate with the reduced rate of 5%, then we have created a DRC 5% here. The other thing that you will need to do also on this page, on the VAT product posting groups page, you may need to add this particular column, allow project reduced rate substitution, and this is to allow, dependent on the project, where the standard rate is either the reduced rate or the 20%, you must tick those boxes to enable you to employ the new reverse charge as well. So once we have those business posting groups set up and the product posting group, we then of course have to add it to our posting setup page. It's quite a large one here, but just to give you a flavour, so we can see here that we've got our subcontractor ones here. Sorry, I forgot to mention on the other screen the not applicable, not reverse charge product posting group that needs to be created here. So under the subcontractors, we add that combinations that we've just entered, and of course from our customer point of view we have to add in the UK, because of course they're not subcontractors, so UK being our standard business posting group for customers in this particular database, we have added the combinations for the UK DRC and DRC5 and the UK NR for not reverse charge VAT. You'll notice there's some other settings here as well that have to be employed. So for those entries where we are looking at the reverse charge VAT, then we need to just, as we do for Europe, we can utilise the same VAT calculation type, because in effect it is the same process that's happening for our domestic reverse charge VAT. We change it to reverse charge VAT. Again, same as for EU, we still specify those VAT percentages, that doesn't change. We will be adding a reverse charge VAT account, again, as we do on our EU entries, and we've added a VAT clause of DRC just so we can see that information here. So once we have got our setup correct in our system on our VAT posting setup, so of course whenever we change anything in our VAT posting setup, we also have to show that within our VAT statement. And again, excuse the extent of this very large statement, but in essence we just need to make sure that we include all our new combinations, both from our purchasing amount and base fields, also for our sales with our UK and our DRC combinations. So all of those need to be entered within our VAT statement. As you can see here, we've added our DRC 20% and our DRC 5% and 20% there. Because of the nature of our system, in that NAV likes to treat sales as negatives and purchases as positives, to enable us to use our calculations correctly in the top section of our VAT statement for our summary side of things, we've just detailed out here specifically the subcontractor entries on the purchase side. And the only thing that we've changed is we've changed that to the opposite sign. So we're treating these 5% and 20% combinations here now as negatives. And that is simply because in our summary at the top here for our sales line, we of course want to include those DRC entries, and with the sales figure here, we would be showing the sales figure plus the DRC purchase figures, So they will be coming off of these figures here, and likewise the VAT due will also include those DRC figures. So quite a bit to change, but sort of quite sensible in terms of what is needed. And of course, this section at the top here, our summary, is indeed the area that we use for our VAT return submission online, and therefore these box numbers again are in our statement, and those figures will be included in our submission to HMRC. So once we have made those changes, we need to obviously just change the records themselves. So starting at our subcontractors, on our subcontractor record, if you remember, we need to change their VAT business posting group here to the new DRC if they are indeed VAT registered and CIS registered, i.e. not outside of the scheme. So we need to change our VAT business posting group to subcontractor. Also, if you are using vendor templates, then you will need to update don't forget to update those vendor templates as well so that they come in correctly. We will also need to change the subcontractor orders to show the same. From a project point of perspective, I just have a project here. On the client record, if you have confirmation that reverse charge does apply to your contract, then you need to change the VAT product posting group on the client card. So that product posting group, and these entries are always within the invoicing tab. So the VAT product posting group here would be either domestic 20 or 5, if indeed it is, if DRC does apply. Likewise, on the project card itself, and you only have to change this if the project is not subject to DRC, then you will be changing the subcontractor reduced rate here to our non-DRC code. So that's the subcontractors, orders, contracts, project client and projects themselves. For service, again on the service contracts, once you've confirmed that reverse charge applies to your contract, then the VAT product posting group, and again on the invoicing fast tab, she says looking for the product posting group. Yes. Couldn't see it for looking. Too many fields. Again, we will be changing that dependent on what the contract was to DRC or DRC5 if that applies on service contracts as well. And then likewise on the service orders, again changing the VAT product posting group again on the invoicing fast tab to that new DRC VAT product posting group. Now, of course, the changing of the subcontractors and the subcontractor orders, project clients, projects and service contracts and service orders can be all updated through with the exception of the vendor templates, it's not possible to automate that through the update report that we're offering, but they can be updated through the use of that report if you wish to utilise it. Okay, so we've actually come now to the end of our presentation today. I know it was a very intense session and it's very hard to be able to show you specifically what you will be doing because of course all of your setups are different, but I hope that despite all of that, I hope that you've enjoyed it and that it's given you an insight as to how 4PS Construct will be able to help you achieve the correct reporting to HMRC. So I will now hand back to Adam and say bye-bye and thank you for your time today.
Super, thank you very much, Pauline. Good, yeah, I hope you all found that useful. It's a very important topic and something that I know everyone's keen to get right. So these are my contact details on the screen. As I mentioned, if you do have any questions about anything that you've seen this morning, do give me a call, drop me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you out. As I mentioned, we've also recorded today's session, and I know, as I say, you know, that there's not much time before this comes into effect, so I'm going to try and get this up on the website as soon as possible, hopefully before the end of the day tomorrow. So keep your eyes open for that. Our next webinar is going to be announced very shortly as well, so be sure to look out for the emails with details on that very soon. And again, thank you for being with us this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Thank you.